And today we're going to talk about the 7 roller coaster wonders in the world. Now the big question is really, how do we find these 7 roller coaster wonders? And just like the real wonders of the world, they have to be quite impressive and stand out. And well, there are overall many big, scary looking and impressive roller coasters around the world. So what should we do? And I think we need to go over to some of the record-breaking roller coasters back in the day, but also some very iconic coasters. And this could also be some rides that really revolutionized the industry in terms of technicality and so on. And while this video is overall going to be me discussing different roller coasters, what are the 7 wonders in terms of this industry? Now before discussing these rides, if you really like theme park and roller coaster videos, please be sure to subscribe to the channel if you want to. There are more videos out there. And well, speaking of roller coaster wonders, I think it's a great idea starting with the fastest in the world. And yes, this is where we have the very impressive Formula Rosa at Ferrari World. And yeah, we all know Falcon's flight is going to beat every record in terms of height, speed and length and so on. But I really think Ferrari World took the speed record to a whole new level back in 2010. And this awesome coaster is the Swiss manufacturer Intamin's creation, and this ride reaches a maximum speed of 149.1 miles per hour. And well, for the European viewers, this is 240 kilometers per hour. And this insane coaster reaches this maximum speed with the hydraulic launch system. And well, this hydraulic launch is considered outdated today because it's very problematic. And Formula Rosa has been closed for a long time, but now it's open yet again. And you reach this top speed in just 4.9 seconds, so that's quite impressive. Well, even though this lengthy ride experience after that is pretty meh, I still think this one deserves a spot. Now we're going back in time, and I think it's time to talk about a revolutionizing roller coaster. And well, surprisingly, this is not just one but 2 operating roller coasters. And well, I'm going to include Matterhorn Bobsled at Disneyland for this list. And well, we need to go all the way back to 1959 for the creation of this revolutionizing ride. The most important fact right here is that Matterhorn Bobsleds was the first roller coaster with steel tubular tracks. And this ride was created by the pioneers back in the day called aerodynamics. And well, as you can see today, these steel tubular tracks are being used by almost every coaster in the world. And on top of that, this ride was very immersive because you have 2 roller coaster tracks going around this man-made and heavily themed mountain. This creation was overall just very impressive, from the theming to the new technology. And the riders can also choose to ride the left or right side, so that's awesome. And now I think it's time to go back to yet another very impressive record-breaking ride. And no, it's not really the height, speed and length of this ride. And I'm talking about the Smiler at Alton Towers, because this ride holds the record for the most amount of inversions in the world. The Smiler has a total of 14 mind-bending inversions, and the coaster has held this record since 2013. And to be honest, I think that's quite impressive. And well, an honorable mention is also Colossus at Thorpe Park. And now the reason I'm mentioning Colossus is that this was the first ride that hit the total of 10 inversions back in 2002. And you could also say it's a cheap way that Colossus reached this record. And that's because 5 of these 10 inversions on Colossus are just hardline rolls, and these are just slow-paced rolls. And well, it still creates a very iconic section for this ride called the quad hardline roll. Now moving on, we got one big, insane and impressive looking machine. And this is where we got the insane ride called X2 at Six Flags Magic Mountain. And well, the ride originally opened as X back in 2002. And X2 was surprisingly the first of 3 fourth dimension coasters in the world. And that means you have this crazy roller coaster layout combined with this very bizarre looking train. And this train offers controlled rotating seats when you go through the ride experience. This 4th dimension coaster is really one of the craziest ride experiences all over the world. This ride pulls some very strong positive G-forces, and it also shakes a bit, so it's not for the faint of hearts. And with X2 being the first back in 2002 makes this ride a great contender for my list. Coming in as the next roller coaster, we got a very iconic and popular coaster, and it's also a record-breaking ride. And this is where we have Millennium Force, the first full-circuit giga coaster in the world that opened all the way back in the year 2000. This ride may be the most well-known and popular ride in the whole world. And I remember seeing this on-ride POV many years ago, and everything from the size to ride experience on Millennium Force Force was just iconic. Millennium Force stands 310 feet tall, and that is 94 meters. And this coaster hits an impressive maximum speed of 93 miles per hour, and that is 150 kilometers per hour. And this ride is really known for the sensation of the amazing speed and also overbank turns. Millennium Force has really won many golden ticket awards for being the best steel coaster in the world. And now, because of the modernization and focus on airtime on the coasters in the recent years, Millennium Force has started to be a quite polarizing ride experience. Now, speaking of hype, we have to mention King Dakar at Six Flags Great Adventure. This ride was known as the king of coasters for many reasons. Well, this amazing ride opened all the way back in 2005 as the tallest and fastest coaster in the world. King Dakar stood an amazingly 456 feet tall, and that is 139 meters. And this coaster launched from 0 to 128 miles per hour, and that is 206 kilometers per hour in just 3.5 seconds. Sadly, King Dakar has just been scrapped, but this coaster still held the height record for the whole lifespan. There's also another ride similar we have to mention that opened before King Dakar, and that is our beloved Top Thrill Dragster. This ride opened 2 years before King Dakar in 2003. Top Thrill Dragster was the first full circuit roller coaster to exceed 400 feet in height. This ride was 420 feet tall, and that is 128 meters, and you also had the record-breaking launch at 120 miles per hour, and that is 193 kilometers per hour. And now, speaking of very impressive rides, let's talk about the wooden coasters in the world. And well, one of the most impressive and biggest ones also is El Toro at Six Flags Great Adventure. And El Toro is really known for being one of the best wooden coasters in the world, and the only thing you can see on this ride when you look at it is the insanely steep drop and these camelback hills. This ride opened all the way back in 2006, and to this day El Toro is just known for being one of the biggest and baddest wooden coasters in the world. This wooden coaster stands 181 feet tall, and that is 55 meters, and it reaches a maximum speed of 70 miles per hour, and that is 113 kilometers per hour. And now, speaking of very impressive wooden coasters, we have to talk about one of the classics, and that is the Beast at Kings Island. This iconic yet impressive wooden coaster opened all the way back in 1979. And the Beast is really known for its iconic night rides, and that's because this is one of the most lengthy roller coasters in the whole world. And since 1979, the Beast has been the longest wooden coaster in the whole world with a length of 7,361 feet, and that is 2,244 meters. And now we have really gone over many record-breaking classics in the roller coaster industry. Now it's time to focus on some newer rides out there. And the first coaster I'm immediately thinking about is Veloci Coaster at Islands of Adventure. And the reason I want to include this ride on the list is because Veloci Coaster has everything from immersive theming to a world-class ride experience. This awesome combination of a beautiful location, heavily themed queue line, ride experience and world-class coaster layout, you can't really find it anywhere in the world. And even though this ride is only 4 years old, I think Veloci Coaster will be well known in the coaster community for many years. And now, speaking of next-gen roller coasters, we need to talk about some of the big hybrid rides out there. Since 2011, Rocky Mountain Construction has just created some awesome hybrid rides out there with world-class coaster layouts. And now the rides I need to mention are the so-called Big Three, and these are the RMC Hyper Hybrids. This is where we got Sadrad in Energylandia, Steel Vengeance at Cedar Point, and Iron Gwazi at Busch Gardens Tampa. And people in the roller coaster community are often discussing which one of these three coasters are the best in the whole world. What they all have in common is that they have an insane ride experience with many great airtime moments and bizarre looking inversions. Now I have finally concluded my list and mentioned some of the wonders in the roller coaster community. And now please let me know in the comments below if you agree or disagree with some of my picks, or could I have included some of the other rides out there. And now be sure to subscribe to the channel if you really want to. Then at the end of the day, I'm always gonna say bye bye.